How do I ping a? Let me see. How do I ping the stage? Free community. Okay, I should be live on YouTube here, and you guys should be able to see my training view. Let me see. That way it'll be easier, because I think Discord sometimes messes up with screen sharing. Jeez, my fan is so loud. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna wait for a bit here before we get started today, so everyone else can come in. I know I started a little bit later than scheduled today, but that's okay. Send a link to everyone here. I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do is I'll be reading questions from the YouTube chat as well as Discord, so whichever way you guys prefer, you guys can send a question there. Also, I realized me talking here might just be double echo for you guys here. If everyone just wants to join the YouTube live stream, that might be easier, to be honest. Let me change this stream title too, because it's not live trading. I'll put the link here for those two other people in here that just want to join through the stream. Again, you don't have to stay here on Discord. Also, after the today's stream, feel free to watch my live payout request video I made with Tradeify with the 15K payout. It's already up now. It took me a while to edit, but it is up now with all the stats. Okay, I'm gonna first go over the questions from the course members in the Discord, and then I'll get to you guys on the YouTube. So, one of the first questions that I received, I have to read through each of them again. Let me find my pinned chat here. So, I'll put the questions, I think, on my monitor or training view so you guys can see it clearly. So, first question here today. Let's see. Does observing the 1 hour and 4 hour really make a difference? Sometimes the time frames below 30 minutes are enough to define draw liquidity, right? And we have the daily bias indicator to help as well. So to first off answer this question, yes, you don't need the 1 hour and 4 hour most times. The only reason I use the 1 hour and 4 hour is just to monitor high time frame POIs. Outside of high time frame POIs, I'm not using the 1 hour or 4 hour to do really much else. You can use it for direction, but usually you can find direction off a lower time frame like the 15 and 30 minute, because again, we're trading off the 1 minute for our entry models. So for example, there's going to be days where you don't see any 1 hour or 4 hour POI. Maybe there's something on the left here, but you want to be following the trend on the right, of course. So for example, here, there's no 1 hour or 4 hour POI. The only POI is all the way down here. So if you want to mark this, for example, you'll see what I mean later, but it's a pretty big box to trade off of. Go to the 1 hour. There's a lot more price, but this is, for example, 3 days of price action up here. So this 4 hour POI was created 3 days ago. If you see the 1 hour, we have this 1 hour POI here, and that's it. We have nothing else here. So during all this price action, actually this is not 3 days. Wait. It is, what? Yeah, I guess 3 days or 2 days, 1 day. All you have is this 1 hour POI here. Meaning, if you're looking for 1 hour high time POIs to trade off of, guess what? You're not getting any trades here. There's no setups for you to take here at all. When in reality, there should be setups for you to take here, because there's multiple entries here with my strategy that you can take. And look how far this 4 hour POI is as well. It's very far, okay? Price is trading up here. Some of you guys are using ranges that are way too far. Price is up here right now. Stop focusing too much on the POIs all the way down here. That's why I also have my indicator to help you guys out with that, because it provides a daily bias for you every single day, and it resets every daily candle with a new bias. It's going to be either bullish, meaning look for longs, bearish, look for shorts, or neutral, meaning we're going to expect a choppy market. You can trade both sides off sweeps. Another thing is with the indicator, we have the 8 session or the kill zone highs and lows marked out. What this does is it helps you understand that, okay, this is going to be most likely the range that we're going to be trading in, meaning we're not going to get past 8 session high or low or 11 session high or low by a ton, right? This is roughly the area we will be trading in. Anything past this, like really far away, like all the maybe past sessions highs and lows, or all the way down here, is going to be irrelevant because it's too far away from price. So having a time-based window of these kill zone highs and lows is going to help you roughly gauge the size of the previous ranges and determine how far you can really trade depending on past volatility. So that's the answer for his first question. The 1 hour, 4 hour, I would still recommend using but you're only staying on there for 30 seconds or less. Like just drawing out high time POIs. And to be honest, you don't need it. It's not a necessity. And then he also said, I don't know if it's the same for every course member, but hard part for me is packing up all the course content to start applying. Course content is really dense. It's totally different from most other courses. And the complete list is on another level. I appreciate it. Second question is, do you usually take IFEG entry models just when the first FEG is inverted, or is it a strict rule to wait for the most extreme fair value gap? It is a strict rule for me to wait for the most extreme fair value gap unless the extreme is already in the at the posing range. For example, I know this is a 1 hour, but I'm not going to be taking an IFEG setup up here. I'm not going to be taking this because we're already in premium. So it does vary, but a big majority of times strict rule is yes, I have to take the most extreme IFEG in that internal leg. Internal leg is a bullish candle acting as that pullback. Because what you will notice when you're using the first IFEG is you will get stopped out and price is gonna go mitigate the unmitigated POIs or OBs, whatever you want to call it, and it's gonna reverse on you. So I don't recommend. Unless you have a lot of other confluences that suggest that, you know, price is gonna go further or it's a good trade, that's completely fine. Because having other confluences is gonna matter as well. For those that just joined the stream, I'm doing a Q&A session right now. And you can ask questions either through the Discord server or the YouTube chat. I did pin just now the link to the Discord server. So you can join the Discord server and post your questions in there. Third question is, my trades perform way better at NQ than gold. Is the same with you? Yes. Do I need to trade differently on NQ and gold? For gold, I would highly recommend you wait for manipulations to occur first, aka internal sweeps on your POIs. Don't recommend just taking the first entry immediately. You can if there's a lot of confluences externally, like either a trend, it's an origin instead of a flip, there's already a liquidity sweep, or there's a very clear draw on liquidity. Otherwise, I would really recommend that, yeah, you just wait for the manipulation on gold. It's more volatile than NQ as well. NQ is more volatile than ES. That's also why I used to really trade a lot of ES. There's less manipulation. But yes, the strategy does work slightly better on NQ than gold, just based on everyone's data or majority of people's data and mine as well. But once you understand how to trade the different assets, you can match the stats to be roughly the same. You just have to make these slight adjustments to the way you trade the POIs. Next question. What's an internal counter trend trade? If I take the trade, the internal trend aligns with my trade direction, correct? So I assume you're talking about internal. So you're talking about I assume you're talking about counter internal. If you're trading my main strategy, trading the reversals, not the stop hunter, it's always going to be counter internal. Almost always, not always, sorry, not always, but majority of times. Because once we hit the POI, I'm looking for my entry model, and if the internal structure hasn't shifted like this yet, or made an internal change of character, you're still trading internal counter, yes. But once you create this shift here, I consider it internal pro trade. So you can have your OB, take this IFVG, whatever. But the win rate is higher if you wait for the internal structure to shift in your direction before taking that reversal off the PY. So instead of taking an immediately first entry model, if the first entry model aligns with the structure shift, that does improve your win rate by like 10% based on my testing. I also have a link to my journal as well that has like all this data for the course members. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Next question said, big portion of discretion is my problem. Let me put this in the chat. Big portion, ooh. Big portion of discretion is my problem, in my opinion. I wrote to you a couple times in DMs, you probably know what I'm talking about. When to be more aggressive versus conservative. So in terms of risk management, if that's what you're referring to, I keep my risk management the same regardless of the setup of 99% of times. It's always the same risk per trade, percent-wise. I don't like to size up on A plus and size down on B setups because I also don't even take B setups most times anyway. So I let the math stay consistent. When, let's say, to wait for a double sweep in PY versus not. Usually in a PY, we will usually get one manipulation. If we get two manipulation sweeps, it's very likely the PY has failed. So I don't usually like taking a double sweep. I just take the first sweep. If it fails, then look for a next trade. When to use IFVG versus wait for OB entry. I do talk about this in my video. I would recommend you go back and rewatch it. I don't know how much of the course you've watched, but I have a video in there discussing on ways you can identify when to use IFVG versus OB entry model. The easiest, simplest method is just momentum. If you see a momentum in big gaps and there's an inversion, usually we don't come back to the OB. So that's usually when I'm willing to take the IFVG. If the RR is also good on the IFVG, I will take the IFVG so I don't miss a really good setup. Because obviously, if you miss too many good setups, it's gonna cut into your P&L. But OB entry model does have the best RR by far. It's almost double the RR of IFVG. Unless you're using aggressive stop loss placement for IFVG. Want to use not extreme PY versus wait for extreme PY. So flip versus origin. When is a good time to use stop hunter versus not? Again, do discuss that in the video, but stop hunter, you're using it when you have a clear draw, when you have a massive gap, or even a true gap in the market. Or just trading with the trend. Again, I'm never going against the trend. Usually, most times with stop hunter, you're just following the trend. So, for example, I did make some videos also on my channel with trade recaps with the stop hunter. There was one I even discussed in my recent video. I don't know where it was. But for example, I don't think it was this day, but for example here, if we're going bearish here internally and you want to trade internal continuations, this is where you play stop hunter. You take this 1 2 1 to 3, whatever you want. Like all stop hunter is following the internal trend on the right. So if you see it trending very aggressively, or you have a clear draw to another target, maybe a session low, for example, or session highs and lows, you can use stop hunter to trade towards those. Here's another example. For example, we have this low that put in this new high here, okay, and so you enter here. I believe this is actually a trade I took. There's a 5-minute stop hunter here as well. Essentially, you take this towards the draw, for example, which is the next week high, because we're bullish. So you're just taking this to the next week high and you get 7 RR. I think I got 5 or 4 RR out of that trade because I had a much bigger stop loss. But that's an example, again, using stop hunter when you're trading with a trend internally. And ideally, if it's aligned with the external trend, to use stop hunter as well. That's going to add confidence to your setup. For flip versus origin, you truly don't know which one's gonna hold. I don't come into the market and predict, okay, this flip is gonna fail, this origin is gonna hold. I'm waiting for my entry model. If I get my entry model, I'm gonna take it, considering I'm trading with the trend, a big majority of my trades, and you can look for inducement in other things as factors, as confluences. So no, I cannot tell ahead of time which origin or which PY is gonna hold or not without any entry confirmation. Aggressive leg, you talked to me about this before. I've noticed your issue is you're going off 15-minute, 30-minute, or too high time frame legs of PYs or a structure. You need to trail price to how where the volatility is. For example, if you see we have a nice range here, you can trade this range, but once we start creating structure like this where we slowly go in one direction and price is trading slowly towards a new target, which is this high here, you have to trail your structure and start trading this range here, not this here, because this is one move here to target this high. Again, if you force yourself to look for this stuff, look for trades that you miss during backtesting, you will realize this issue very quickly of when to do this and when not to. Bias is a special category. In all those that you decide wrongly and that has big impact in profitability, as reading price correctly is alpha and omega. Who knows how to read price? Gashing can trade any model properly, in my opinion. Know that backtesting should help with those, but personally backtest a lot already and no luck yet. So for your bias, if you're always getting it wrong, like I said, I highly recommend you just using my daily bias indicator. That's the easiest way to get it right, because I've done testing in data collection and my trades, when aligned with my daily bias indicator, go up by like at least 10% in terms of win rate, which is very big. That's a substantial difference, because my RR with my strategy is usually 3 to 4 RR. So it is a pretty high RR system, and that can make a huge difference. Let's say you also, I highly recommend, if you guys have problems with your bias, you need to collect data on how often you're right versus wrong. If you're, let's say you're consistently wrong 70% of the times in your backtesting in terms of your bias, directional bias, all you do, just flip your bias, and this now becomes 70% correct. It sounds stupid, but it's literally how you can just easily turn your bias profitable or correct. But if it's very inconsistent, where 1 month you're accurate on bias 70% of times, the next month you're only correct 20% of times, and then the next month you're correct 50% of times, then that becomes an issue where no, you can't just reverse it. But if you're consistently wrong every single month, you can just reverse what you're thinking. Or again, easiest way, just use my daily bias indicator. Vinitro said, thank you for replying to my questions, Jay. No problem. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Top Dog asked a question. He asked, learning what PYs to take, like I said. But PYs, if you want the highest probability PYs, wait for your external liquidity sweeps. Sweeps like this. This is not a sweep, this is a break of structure, but that's a counter trend trade you can take. Break of structure. Sometimes counter trend trades will work, you know, works here, worked here. I would recommend you guys collect data on your counter trend trades to see how big of an impact they truly have on your P&L. You might even sometimes find your win rate go higher if you're taking high probability counter trend setups that have a lot of confluences along with them. I don't just take counter trend just a counter trend. If I do take it like that off this, I'm going for a scalp. For example, we take out this high here, cool. Looking for a scalp. Where's my IFG? Okay, we cannot. You're gonna have to chase on this IFG, and I don't usually do that. So you're gonna have to miss on this trade. But just an example, there's an inversion here after they got that high. You just enter here, and if I was just wanted to go for a high probability winner, I'm just going for a 1-to-1 or targeting the next internal low. Boom, 1R. I'm done for a day. Maybe not done for a day, but done for the counter trend setup. So I would say I can't distinguish between whether flip or origin is going to hold. You can collect data on the win rate from other members. The win rate seems to be higher if you just only take the origin. And you say when price hits a PY, wait for confirmation. Either OB or IFG is better. IFG has a higher win rate than OB. If you want the highest win rate, you want both. You want to see both an inversion and an OB get created. The only disadvantage to that is a higher win rate, but you miss more trades. And those missed trades will include losers too. So you will miss a lot of losing trades, but you're going to miss a few winning trades. And that's up to you whether you're okay mentally to handle missing trades and not get FOMO. Because the worst situation to be in is you get FOMO and you mess up your system and P&L because you're emotional trading at that point. Okay, let's see what other questions we have today here. In terms of, I saw another person here in the chat ask questions in terms of ranking setups. That's something I only go over with the mentorship students in terms of mechanically how to rate A plus, B, and B plus setups. If you guys want more of these Q&A sessions, make sure to leave a like on the stream. I'd appreciate it. Next question. As you know, I was doing something subconsciously that I wasn't doing when backtesting. I pounded my head trying to find the root cause. During backtesting, I could fast forward through candles until it looked right, meaning good market conditions, good structure, everything is clear, we're not chopping. And I realized I often forwarded until external left and right trend matched and align with each other, and we hit deeper PUIs. Both of these are obviously like very good confluences to have that you should be looking for when you're live trading, but many of us will force setups when we don't see these align, and of course that's going to lead to a difference in your live trading and backtesting data or results. During live, I never realized this, and I just thought every flip on every external structure would work. Not really, but you get what I mean. Of course, they're always going to work. No 100% win rate system. Results in inconsistent results with me never trusting direction of external trend, which is what my data suggested. I take conservative targets all the time. And other silly mistakes would happen off the back of this misunderstanding. While I'm not a fan of this frequency, I just need to reduce losses as it results in higher net RR. I believe you're talking about lower win rate, but you make more RR. I really suggest, if you can handle your emotions, yes, it's fine to increase your frequency, have a decrease in win rate, and have an increase in net risk reward, because at the end of the day, you're making actually more money because of the law of large numbers playing out more in your favor. But if you can't handle your emotions and you notice you're making too many mistakes emotionally in terms of your rule-based journal, I would say go with the lower frequency. You're gonna have a higher win rate, but you're gonna make less RR a month. I would really recommend going with this route, because if you're making emotional mistakes, that's gonna make you not necessarily more net RR. You might actually make less net RR than if you were just taking less frequency trades, which will help with your selectivity, help with you building more confidence because your win rate is higher in the system, as well as helping you better understand your filters. What is a better setup? Because if you're taking a lot of low probability setups mixed into it, it becomes a habit, and that habit will cause just a lot of issues later on. Again, if you can emotionally handle it, of course, go with the higher net RR system. Otherwise, I would recommend backing down to the lower RR system. Recognizing inducement versus legit pullback. Again, inducement, it has to mitigate, or legit pullback in terms of structure externally has to come back to premium and mitigate a PY. If it doesn't, it's an inducement. Unless we create something like this where we create inducement and inducement, then this is not inducement anymore. You can only have one piece of inducement. This is your PY now. So your range starts from up here to down here. Look for a trade. You're looking for a setup here to go lower. If you guys want specific examples, I have examples with the price action main candles in the course as well, marking out inducement. Internal versus external structure. Again, internal structure following each candle. External is the swing structure that consists of multiple internal or multiple candles. Again, try to simplify internal versus external structure. Don't overcomplicate it too much. When the external structure is forming, high time POI is actually by cause of mitigation phase. All can become too much, but it's important to build that narrative. Not sure what you mean by the too much, but again, try to keep your charts clean. You shouldn't have like 5 or 10 high time frame POIs given a single day. Sessions, usually you might have 1 or 2 high time frame POIs, and ideally you refine them. If you can't get any refinement, what I've noticed with high time frame POIs is, let's say there's a, we'll use this example. Let's say this is your 1 hour POI. If I go in the 5 minute, 1 minute, and I can't find any refinement for this POI, that just means you don't need this refinement. As soon as we hit this 1 hour, boom, you're looking for a reversal. But if there's a better refinement, you can use that better refinement to trade off of. Again, there's 2 ways to trade. I do recommend you follow the right trend more often than not, instead of looking for that high time frame reversal. Because what I've noticed, you guys might have noticed too, if you've done enough backtesting and live trading, these high time POIs, they're big, right? Not all of them are going to be the same size. Some of the high time POIs are bigger than others. And so when we hit it, as soon as you mitigate it, there's times where we're going to go deeper into that high time POI for manipulation. We did mitigate this, and that brought us to a new high. But if we're going deeper, why not follow the right trend? Why not follow it as even if we're in a high time frame PY? Why not follow it for a little bit deeper of a move? And then if we can mitigate something, maybe the origin's down here. If we mitigate origin, take out session liquidity, or there's a lot more confluences to your setup, then you can look for that high time reversal. Otherwise, for me, majority of my trades, to be honest, nowadays, I'm not looking to take a complete high time reversal off of a high time PY. Most times I'm actually trading off 1 minute and 5 minute PYs. They're a lot smaller. They're a lot more accurate because they're a lot more refined. That makes sense. These high time PYs are bigger. So if you want to put it into perspective, I was going to make a course video on this, but a 1 hour PY here is the same as you using a 1 hour OB engine model or IFG. So there's IFG engine model here. So 1 hour confirmation will be something like this. And of course, that's not going to be what it looks like on the 1 minute. Because on the 1 minute, you're entering all the way down here. So keep in mind, a higher time PY requires a higher time frame entry model confirmation. Now, I don't like to complicate my trading system too much, so I stick with just using 1 minute entry confirmations. But in order to be accurate with that, you need to accept either taking more losses than someone using a high time frame, because this trade, if you cash this is 12 RR. I don't mind taking 3 losses to catch a 12 RR trade. This is literally a net 9 RR return. That's way better than taking a high time frame 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 max. So suggestions for high time PYs for you guys in the future: either trade with the right for a deeper PY mitigation. If there is no refinement, you can trade immediately off the 1 hour, or just don't even trade the high time reversals. Just literally just trade the right trend. And once if the red trend fails, you will know it fails. Why? Because structure externally will shift. We broke above this high. We failed to go lower here. We broke above this. Now this is when you know we're 100% bullish. We had an FBOS here. This is FBOS because this high here is supposed to be a liquidity sweep. We want to go lower, but it failed to take out this low. Now, it can come here and come back up, and it's still not FBOS. Until that FBOS high gets taken out, it's not FBOS. Once it gets taken out, this is confirmed FBOS. And you can look for setups here, liquidity sweep. There's a lot of setups here you can take to the upside. Stop hunters, all that good stuff. If you want a stop hunter example, this one right here. Actually, it might have been equal lows here. There might have been a SMT with ES. The Trading Academy, what's up? He said, "What is a session indicator?" I'm using my own session indicator. It's not just a session indicator. It has indicator to my kill zones, daily bias, IFG, PY, structure draw and liquidity, and watermark, which doesn't really matter. But yeah, these are all the settings for an indicator. It's a very long, complex indicator. It has everything you need. If you want access to it, you can check out my website. I have a free trial, 7-day free trial. There's also a monthly subscription and a yearly subscription as well. So I just sent the command. If you want to click the link, you can get the indicator there. But again, you get access to all this. Next question. Let's see. I don't think there's any other questions. I've gone through everyone in the Discord here. Someone else asked, a big part of my problem is also live trading, because live trading forces you to look at everything you did subconsciously when you had 100% patience. Backtesting. Yeah, if you're making mistakes in backtesting, or maybe not mistakes in backtesting, but if you start making them in live trading, they're going to hit a lot harder, and you're going to realize the mistakes a lot more, because it's tied to money. It's tied to your bankroll. Even if you're not on a personal account, it's tied to you losing, either getting payout or not getting payout on a prop account. Cool. I'll go over now. Since Discord, I don't see any other questions. If I miss your question, let me know. I'm gonna go over the questions in the YouTube stream chat here. From the top, Rigo asked, "Hi Jay, I was wondering, can you make a living on only trading IFGs?" Yes, you can. Rigo asked, "What are some A+ setups for your IFG model?" And very in tune with it, but I want to know what setup is best for it. Again, for rating setups, I go over that to the mentorship students only. What's up, Ghost Flippin'? Where can I submit my questions? You can ask them in the chat here in the stream, or join the Discord server, completely free, by the way. And you can send your questions. If you guys find Discord easier, you can send your questions in the Discord free chat. Rigo said, "What works best with IFG model? I backtested liquidity sweeps, but I don't know which ones give the best results." The best advice I can give for that is just trade with the external trend. If my daily bias indicator aligns with that external trend, you can get like a 70% win rate trading just sweeps. 70% plus. I like to personally take more trades in between the sweeps because I can make more net RR. Kind of like the example of the other member talking about what I was talking about. Lower win rate, higher frequency, higher net RR. That's what I don't mind trading. But if you want a 70% plus win rate, you have to be very selective, and you have to be okay with missing moves in between the sweeps. So I said you trade ICT. I think you've asked this many times. Well, I've been asked this many times, but I trade my own type of strategy and system. Like I said, you even got feedback from a course member that my course is very in depth. There's like 60 plus hours of content, and it's a lot of new stuff also that you won't learn elsewhere. Ghost Flipping said, how can I get consistent payouts? I got 3 payouts in 1 week, then proceeded to not get any payouts the next month. I'll be honest, depending on how new you are to trading or how new you are to profitability, if you got 3 payouts in a week and then you just got nothing for a whole month, that means either you gambled and got lucky, or your strategy has no true edge and variance came out and truly showed its hand, meaning your strategy just doesn't actually work long term. Even though we're day trading, you need a strategy that still has long term positive expectancy. Or your psychology is off and you have to be journaling. I would recommend use my journal template. I have like a rule-based P&L journal. It's actually complete for free on my website. If you want the trading journal with all my trades, 700 plus trades in there journaled to learn my strategy, that's only offered with the course members. For the course members, I used to sell that separately, but it's now tied into the Hunters for course. If you guys want access to that, there's the link. There's also a link to my website if you want more detail about stuff. But I would recommend you need to be journaling. You need to have some sort of journal to keep track of the number of emotional mistakes you're making. If you're not making many or very little, Ghost, then that means unfortunately you're either gambling and you got lucky with those payouts, or you don't have a strategy that actually works long term. Someone has done a YouTube video. I don't have the link to it on top of my head, but the video basically deduced that with prop firms, because you can get a 10 to 20x ROI per account, you can be an unprofitable trader and still get a few payouts. Not consistently, but you can still get a few payouts. Considering you spend enough money, you can still get a few payouts being unprofitable just because of pure variance. But obviously you cannot have that variance play in your favor if you are tilting, because tilting completely ruins your edge. Like, it completely gets rid of your edge. It'll wipe out all your gains, plus way more. Like, you'd be surprised, because I remember when I used to go on tilt, and my tilt nowadays, it's very little. I limit it a lot, especially on a personal account, because I'm losing my own money. But you gotta limit your tilt. Some of you guys tilt for maybe 10 plus trades and you don't even realize. That's the scary part about tilting that people don't talk about. You don't realize how many losses you're actually taking until you lose the count. So, gotta be very careful, man. You guys want music? I can put some music on in the background. Let me see. Is it too loud? Let me know. I think it should be playing. Rigo said, do you even have to worry about POIs for the IFG? Yes, you have to have a POI to get mitigated. That's the number one thing with my strategy. If there's no POI that got hit, there's no trade for me. Because you're going to get faked out. There's a lot of fake outs where we just hit a gap and there's entry models and they all fail. I also seen some of the course members take trades and you guys aren't waiting for actual PY to get hit, and it's just a completely invalid loss. Yes, you have to follow the trend. I would say like 80%, 90% of my trades I'm following the trend externally, and the times I count trend, you will see on my channel, you see my videos, I'm either taking a very small scalp, like for going for just a 1-to-1, or if I do counter trend, I'm going for a very smart target in the opposing range. The next flip. Clash Royale said, is there a set amount of break pressure you need for a liquidity sweep or stop loss 100 to happen? Not sure what you mean by that. Do you use limit orders or market execution? Darren asked. I use limit orders if I'm using the OB model, market execution if I'm using the IFG. If I want to use my 2026 model, then I'll use a limit order. And I do have a video on the 2026 model, by the way. If you guys don't know what that is, I have a course video going over it. It's like a 30-ish minute video, I believe. But the course is basically like completely packed now, as in you guys have everything you need to become profitable. The rest is just you doing your backtesting and then just putting your mind to it, being disciplined. Not forcing bad trades, only taking A and A plus setups. Like I said, frequency is important, yes, but if that's impacting your mental state, it is not worth it. How do you enter on Stop Hunter? Stop Hunter, you can use the limit model that we just talked about, or market execution. And how you can distinguish between which one you want to use is going to be dependent on how far I see the next target is. Basically my RR. If the RR with using a limit order to enter the Stop Hunter is very bad, then I will wait with the limit order below to get a better entry price point, or wait for candle closure to see if I can get a better entry. How do you develop your own strategy? You develop your own strategy through, first of all, learning the basics of trading. I don't know how new you are to trading, but you gotta learn the basics. Everyone has to go through the foundations of understanding how the market roughly moves, structure, price action, learn how to read candles. Those are the basics. I would say learning a candle open, high, low, close, I mean, it's not gonna help with your strategy. It's just learn how to read the candle. It's not, when I first got into it, I thought it was a little confusing, but once you've seen the charts enough, it's second nature. But you take what you learn, you take your market experience in backtesting, and you notice certain patterns, and you need a journal as well to notice these patterns too. You see technical mistakes that you keep making over and over again and fix those, and you have a working strategy. And you can optimize it through refining your journal and such. But like I say, you don't need the perfect strategy because there's no perfect strategy. 50% win rate at 2RR is plenty enough. Plenty enough. If you guys watch my latest YouTube video, I shared my dashboard and my data. I'm around like a 50% win rate with a 2.4, 2.6 RR. Here's a link to the video. I just posted this like an hour ago. This is my TradeFi 15K payout request. After fees, got 13.5. But yeah, I share my trading stats of my 5 accounts in there. It's nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. How long did it take me? It took me over a year to be profitable, unfortunately. And that may not seem too long for some people. It might seem long for other people. Everyone's journey is different. There's people that actually become profitable in less than 3 months. I've had mentorship students that came to me before the mentorship and they became profitable within 4 weeks. And that's literally just 4 1-hour calls with me. So yeah, sounds pretty nutty, but that's just how it was. I did also have multiple mentors, aka mentors I learned from, but I'd say more than half of them, I don't use anything they taught me today because it just didn't work. I couldn't get it to click. It just didn't make sense. Even if it did make sense to me, it didn't have an edge. I couldn't get good results. How much do you suggest you risk on a 50K TradeFi account? I would say $200 to $300, man. Your drawdown initially is 2K. Once you build a buffer, past that buffer zone though, your drawdown it stays. And so you can have like 4K drawdown. But keep in mind, on my accounts, I believe I have a daily loss limit on them of like 1,250. So that is something I do keep in mind when I determine how much I'm risking. But yeah, I usually risk 200 to 300. You can't always get the position sizing the most accurate. So it's usually around that ballpark. With a positive strategy, having a little discrepancy in your risk management is not going to make a difference to your P&L. You'll still be green. But yeah, with 200 to 300, I have to lose 4 to 6 trades in a row to hit my daily loss limit. Not even max drawdown to lose account, just to hit daily loss limit. So daily loss limit is also not a hard breach. Okay, it's a soft breach, so you can still trade the next day. You don't lose your accounts, which is nice. It'd be nicer if there was no daily loss limit. I actually should have got the other TradeFi accounts. Looking back, I think the other TradeFi accounts actually, there's no daily loss limit, but I think there's another rule you have to follow. But I rarely ever hit daily loss limit on my TradeFi accounts. If you haven't seen my calendar, I hit it yesterday, which is Friday. I hit it on Friday, but every other day has basically been green for me. But that's my recommendation, 2 to 300. When you say buffer, is it only on validation phase? Not sure what you mean by validation, but funded. Once you're funded, Once you get past that buffer, depending on the account size and firm, it doesn't trail drawdown end of day anymore. It stays at one place. So you can have 4K max drawdown. What broker would you recommend for a personal account for 10K and for 1 mil? Those are two different numbers. You can use a regulated broker in your country. That's going to be my response. I don't know what country you're in. I can't give financial advice like that. Just look online for regulated broker. Any regulated broker, and look at the commission rate and fees of each round trip for micros or minis, whatever you're trading. You can look at the margin. That's kind of important too to know if you're holding trades overnight. There's a much bigger margin requirement if you're trying to hold trades, but I don't hold trades overnight because I'm day trading to next session. Like, I'm not holding through past spread hour. That's what I mean. So I don't have to worry about that, but for people that do, worry about that. Keter said, I noticed my win rate drops when ranges get too big. Any suggestions, or do I just not trade? I don't remember if I brought this up with you, but if it's a big range, this is not a big range. There's huge ranges. Like, let's see. I consider this could be a pretty big range here. If there's a big range, you are... How do I toggle timestamps? How do I know how old these questions are? Oh, it's 9 minutes ago. You need to wait for internal structure to shift first. Wait for internal change of character. Either that, or you wait for more internal structure to shift. But I would stick to two things. Wait for internal structure to shift like this, which could become a stop hunter too, by the way, in a big range. Or if you want the more confident version, more confluence, wait for external structure to shift. Something like this. Because when we're in a big range, these smaller breaks matter a lot less. These big breaks are the ones that truly matter. You want to wait for the external structure to shift. Ideally, you get an FBOS too, meaning after we take out that high, we go higher. The only downside to this is you might miss a move, but there's a stop under here. Boom, hit TP. There's actually a lot more setups here. We're not always going to deliver like this where you get a chance to enter after this FBOS, but the highest confluence is external structures making a change of character plus FBOS. You're almost confirmed to go. We're going to go for the next high or low in a big range. Otherwise, in a small range, of course, you're not waiting for these two things, because at that point, price almost always already hits its target. I would recommend you test that out, Keter. And if, for whatever reason, it's still impacting your win rate in a negative way, then yes, don't trade big ranges. But for me, I still trade big ranges. You just have to wait for more confluence. Shalev's 3800 said, I noticed I only have like 6 valid setups per month on average. You recommend switching strategies? What depends on your stats. If you're taking 6 setups per month and your strategy is 80% win rate at 3RR, that's really good. I would keep that. If it's not like that and it's a very mediocre strategy stats, I'd recommend you change it, because 6 setups a month, you're not going to make too much. You're just not. Also, on a prop firm, I doubt you'll be able to pass and get payouts or multiple payouts with only 6 trades a month. no matter how good the stats are, you want to ideally rinse these prop firms so you get payouts every week, which is what I do. I get payouts almost every single week. Aquia says, I'm backtesting right now your strat, 1 minute origin. I still have to wait for OB confirmation. Don't know if that's a question, but you wait for whatever entry model or confirmation you need for your strategy. Clash Royale said, would you say 20 leverage is enough? 1 to 20? It's enough. You can also find brokers that offer 1 to 50, depending on your country and regulations. But 1 to 20 is enough if you have enough capital. I think this is the wrong setting, bro. But yeah, I've been getting I've been asking for advice from you guys on your Discord, trying to see what type of content you guys think appeals to you. It seems to me that my channel is very educational based, but it seems to me that a lot of people online, they don't like that content and they much prefer car, like lifestyle, like flex kind of videos because they're a lot more entertaining. So what I kind of got out of it was I realized people want both entertainment and education. The entertainment should bring in the traffic or views to then get people to learn and educate themselves on how to trade. So from that point of view, and looking at it from that point of view or perspective, it makes sense. But I'll continuously post my updates on my payout videos, on my Top Step Live and my TradeFi accounts. see if we can run this to a mill. Sometimes I get behind because I don't record every single day the trades, but I did record all the trades. I went over like 3 to 4 days of trades in the recent video I posted. That's why it's a bit long of a video. But I will try my best to record, you know, after the session ends, so it's still fresh and new to y'all's brain too. But yeah, so far I'm on. There should be one more day left for another payout. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The TradeFi dashboard, sometimes I will say, is kind of glitchy. Like if you saw my videos that I posted, like somehow my net P&L was 4.6 mil on the TradeFi dashboard. On TradeStinker, it was correct. TradeStinker is pretty accurate, or very accurate. It's 1-to-1. Makes sense. SW20 Kosh said those who want entertainment are not serious about giving trading a real shot. I'd say yes, but also no. People watch the lifestyle videos for proof of concept or proof of lifestyle that you can achieve with trading. Yes, the lifestyle is real that you can get with trading. However, at the same time, yes, it can attract the wrong group of people trying to get rich quick. Now, granted, you can actually make good money pretty quickly once you become profitable. Like, you can ask a lot of people, but many people can break even on a year or more of losses or multiple years of losses in only 2 months from payouts with these prop firms. Personal account, it'll take a bit longer, but with the ROI on prop firms, you can break even all your net losses in 2 to 3 months. That's what I did. It only took me 2 to 3 months to break even and go green. And I've lost way more money than most people, I'd say, from trading. It's not losing profit. I lost like my own money that I saved up from my job. So, you know, I've gone through the struggle that a lot of you guys are either currently going through or also went through. Everyone's journey is different, but most people, it's no different, to be honest. Come from the same place. There's very few people that come from a rich background that get into trading. I feel like those people just, there's no reason for them to get into trading. You know what I mean? Can you show us an external setup IFVG? For example, we have a brace structure here. This is a BOS setup off 8 session high. If you want to use an IFVG, you could take this here. This would be your IFVG setup. I wouldn't take this like this. I would wait for the OB retracement to get a 9-10 RR trade, because it's way better than a 1.8, but or 1.4. That's an example. Rigo said, I've been trading a different IFVG, but I don't see how yours is, so I can see if I want the course. What type of IFVG are you trading? I go off of my indicator. So if you want to see how I trade my IFVGs, you can use my indicator. Not saying you're going to take every IFVG the indicator provides you, okay? There are filters in my indicator. Where is it? There's filters here, right here. There's a size filtering, essentially, based on ATR, I believe, is what I coded it off of. But yeah, there's 7 indicators. Again, you can see, like, it gives you the label once it gets the right IFVG, and you're just entering on that. And boom. Clash Royale, I would recommend, I mean, go with prop firms first. Granted, though, if you already got payouts and such, yeah, you can open a personal live account. I wish I took the prop firm route when I started. I took the personal account route because I didn't really know much about prop firms. I thought they were a scam, to be honest. But no, they pay out. I have not gotten denied a payout from Top Step or Tradeify so far. You like the payout videos? Really motivates you? Appreciate it. I'll continue doing them. If you guys show me support that you guys like them, I'll continue posting those. But yeah, ultimately the channel here is for motivation, of course. Teach you guys how I trade and motivation. I'm trying to get a payout, but I'm still learning your strategy. What are your time frames mainly that you use? Time frames, they're all on my screen right now, but 1, 5, 15, 30, 1 hour, 4 hour daily. Again, I don't touch the daily anymore. It's too high of a time frame for 1 minute entries. We're gonna have bearish and bullish moves on the daily, regardless of the candle prints, bullish or bearish. So I have an indicator for daily bias anyway. 4 hour, 1 hour, again, 30-second chart markup of PYs nearby. That's it. Drop to a 30-minute. You can draw out your external structure. 50-minute, same thing. 5-minute, you can always use external structure. 1 minute, entry model, and more refinement. That's a long story short. I use TT Trades iFeature setup. I don't know what that is. If I'm a beginner, do you recommend to go for stable 1 to 3 or take 1 TP midway? I used to take partials. If you watch my very old trading videos from 3 years ago on my channel is 3 years old. Damn. A little over 3 years old. But I used to take like 3 to 4 partials. It's good for your win rate, but it cuts into your RR too much, especially when you have a strategy that's very confident. Like, I'm very confident in my system, and I'm very confident in where price is going to go with my strategy. So I don't need to take partials. Not trying to be cocky or anything, but where I set my TPs, most times if it's a winning setup, it will go for that full TP. It won't just reverse in the middle of nowhere. I do go break even on low probability setups early. But if it's high probability, you want to let it just run. In my opinion. Do your own due diligence and back testing. Is there anything you noticed in your mentorship students that were the most successful? What did they focus on? Yeah, it's kind of, you'd be surprised, but the most successful mentorship students, yes, they understood my strategy. Yes, they had good backtesting or solid backtesting data. I even had a student that added his own way of trading into my system, which he prefers very high RR, like 7+ RR trades. Or 5, I think his average was like 5.5 or 6, 30% win rate. But the main thing I noticed with the successful students is their discipline is like perfect, near perfect. Going through the journals is near perfect, meaning their rule-based P&L journals basically all green, 90% plus, 80% plus green. With a mediocre, even if you have a very mid trading system, if your discipline is on point, you will make money, you will get payouts. That's just the truth in reality, because live trading is psychology plus your edge. Like back testing is just on paper, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd honestly say the discipline and the psychology part is a big differentiation factor. I've noticed in the students that were already, you can already tell they're already emotionally tilted going into the program. And from the trades, of course, you can see they're forcing like setups they know they shouldn't be taking at all, or trades they don't take in backtesting live. And so those students tend to not do the best. So I really say that it was a discipline and psychology part. Do you trade DP? What? Oh, do you trade XAU USD? Yeah, I trade GC. It's literally just a gold symbol for futures. But yeah, same thing. XAU USD, gold, don't care what you call it. I trade NQ, ES, and GC. I think NQ on Forex is NAS 100. And then ES is just, what? Complete for SP 500. Forex is kind of confusing because certain brokers, they have different names, if you want to call it. Long-term port's going crazy this year, though. This past year. I just looked up how much SPY jumped this past year, 27%. Damn. If you want trade signals, I prefer you guys learn. But if you want trade signals, I've done them on my live streams. If you miss the live streams, then it is what it is. But I've given plenty of aka signals. I'm not sure what you're asking. Trade signals, yes. Like for example, I'll tell you when I enter, when I exit, when I break even. I've done that many times on my live streams. I mean, they're all on my YouTube for free. I feel like a lot of you guys should have gone in payouts, to be honest. Like, if you were truly disciplined and you just followed along with my free YouTube live streams where I traded live, many of you guys, or everyone that was watching consistently, should have already requested your first ever payout if you were just following me. Because I was green on my live streams. You know, I have the journal and everything for every single live stream. The thing that's crazy about discipline and trading too is like, there's people that pay for other people's signals and such, and they still can't be disciplined to like follow the person. Yes, you don't blindly follow someone. My point is, if you follow someone that's profitable, you will also be green. So you gotta do some deep dive into yourself too. Trading is about learning who you are yourself. Most times, if you give like a person with near perfect discipline execution, any strategy with at least some tiny edge, even if it's a 0.20 EV edge, they will be profitable and get payouts. On prop firms, because there's no spread and there's no commissions, there's nothing stopping a 0.20 EV or even 0.10 EV edge from not playing out and you getting a payout. Depending on the frequency, it might take you longer to get a payout, yes, but the main gist is you won't lose the count. You will still be green. As long as you're risking properly, of course, and not over leveraging. Anyway, I'm in the stream here, y'all. It was a good Q&A session. I hope you guys took a lot out of it. I'll be here to answer any last minute questions you guys have. Otherwise, I'll be getting off in a few minutes here. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here, man. It was a good stream today. Hopefully, answered most of y'all's questions, if not everyone's here. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next stream, whenever that will be. If you want to talk to me, I'm on Discord to chat for a bit. Otherwise, I'll see y'all next one. Peace. Have a good weekend.